Hello everyone, Clock for Game here, and I just thought I'd bring you another quick deck profile. This is a deck that I'm thinking about taking to BCS Cardiff. I'm very much looking forward to this, but I'm very much torn between Itsuki and Frieren. I'm also equally torn between whether I should run the trial deck finisher or the set finisher, and I'll go through some reasons why a little later. But without further ado, we'll get straight into the deck profile. So we start off with 3 of the Himmel Ricky. When this dies, you pluck one from hand, search your deck, and then this goes to memory. And you want at least one of these in memory to get the level 3 and level 0 off that goes with it. Talking about the level 0 that goes with it, I run 3 copies of the Frieren Trial Deck Brainstorm, which is mill 5, and for every climax hit, draw 1. But the reason why you run this, and this is such an important card to, at the very least, have in your hand, is that it makes, if you have the this card in memory, you can kill this to get out your level 3 for free. So one of the things that I do really like about this deck, and like the trial deck finisher over the set finisher, is that you've got a lot of stock to play around with because your finisher is free on stock. It doesn't take any stock. And it's very, very, very good to then run some interesting tech options later on in the deck list. So you don't really need to worry about stock in this deck, but you do need to worry about keeping at least some hand size. But we'll get more into that later on. I run 2 copies of Unnecessary Spendings Frieren. If you are anything like me, when you run 8 pants or 8 bar, you always end up with a ton of climaxes in your hand, and sometimes it's quite hard to get rid of them. So I like running this because it's ditch a climax or event and then salvage a character in waiting room. And I think that's just a very handy card to have. It's a very nice card to have at really any point in the game. And then on to one of my favourite card profiles, which is the Origami from Set 2 Data Live. And this is the Party of Heroes Heiter, which very much like Origami, it's on attack, pay 1, ditch 2 cards out of hand, and search for 2 characters. I believe the Origami was you have to search for characters with the same name, but for this you can just search out 2 characters, which makes it an absolutely fantastic card to grab either 2 of your level 1 combos or 1 of your level 1 combos and something else that you need. If you've already got a level 1 Thurn in hand, you might be able to search out 1 Thurn with this and then 1 of the level 0 Frierens, the Brainstorms that I've just mentioned. Either way, very, very handy card. And even later game, you can search out 2 of your finisher with it. Absolutely fantastic card. I really love that. Now, Winter Clothes Frieren. This is just a little bit of a beat stick, 2k beat stick. And you can, when it's played, ditch a card, look at top 4 and add a level 1 or higher card. So this can grab you your events, it can grab you your level 1 Ferns, it can grab you your finishers. It's just a very, very handy card to have. Quite self-explanatory with this card, as the Siri or Seer or whatever she's pronounced as is running pretty much every Frieren deck. She is the general Ricky, you know the drill, pay 1, clock 1, search 1. But she also has the added effect of pay 1, ditch an event, and then salvage an event as well. So she's an event swapper, which is very, very handy to have, especially in a deck that runs so many events. And this is handy in a multitude of ways. You don't have to use the Ricky effect. You can just use her for her, event effect. It's just very, very handy to have as a little bit of a toolbox card. Then some for the red count. I've got this Fern, which is a level 0 reverser. She just gets rid of level 0s that could be quite problematic. And she's a top 2 rearrange as well. I think it's just very, very handy. You can also ditch one of the top 2 cards as well, if you really want. Either way, very handy little card to have, especially for the red count. And then I run a few techs here. I run one of the Fern Brainstorms. Because you run so many events, she has the brainstorm salvage effect, but she also has the when you play an event, it's a mandatory effect to check the top 2 cards of your deck. Don't forget that it's a mandatory effect. So yeah, you can just have a look at top 2, and it just makes your plays a little bit more informed. Then the last 2 techs for level 0, I run one of the trial deck climax swappers. She's also a level 0 reverser as well. I think this is just very handy because this sends to bottom of deck. So if you're playing against something like Hololive, which has the really annoying Aqua in the centre slot, you can just send it to bottom of deck. It's very, very handy, and they don't get their pluses off. And then the last card is one of her effects. This is a Blowing Kiss Frieren, sorry. If I'm mincing my words a little bit, it's because I'm extremely tired at the minute. I do apologise. This Blowing a Kiss Frieren is a nice little tech that I like. You can ditch a card to stock, which is very, very handy. And she's also pay 1, ditch 1 search. And just a nice little drop search to round off the level 0s. Because sometimes you don't have the Heiter in hands, you don't have a copy of your level 1 Fern. And it's just very, very important to get them. That Frieren also allows you to search out other bits that you may need as well. But talking about level 1 Fern, this is the level 1 Fern and the climax that goes with it. And this is the Fern that is running a lot of Frieren decks because she is so, so good. She becomes 6k cross turn, which is quite handy for staying alive. And on climax placement, she can salvage either the flight magic or the lost items magic from waiting room, which is very, very handy. And talking about those events that go with her, we've got the flight magic here. If anyone was a Danmachi or a Goblin Slayer player back in the day, you'll know this card very well. It's when you drop it on your turn or on your opponent's turn, you can check top 4 cards of deck, add a character. I have a real love for the profile of this card just because when I first started playing, the first deck that I properly took to a tournament, which was Belgium, was Danmachi. And if you played Danmachi, you know that the Hestia Knife event was exactly the same as this card. And you know one of the big strengths of Danmachi was able to burn through its deck. If it was in a bad deck state, it could fix that deck state by burning through all the deck with these events. It's a shame that Danmachi has not yet got a set 2 for Weiss. I'd love to see it get some love because I'd love to play that deck again. However, the Frieren deck just seems to work a lot better than Danmachi. Anyway, moving on. The next event is the Lost Accessories event, which is a red pay 1 event that allows you to draw 1, then to ditch 1, then to salvage 1. And this is just a very, very strong card, I think. I think it's a very nice card to run. It allows consistency, it allows you to get through your deck, it allows you to salvage pieces, and it allows you to hand filter. I'm running it at 3 for now, but I may run it at 4. I may drop a card, I may change a card around. I'm quite happy with it at 3 at the minute. The main one you want to be going for is this Flight Magic event. And probably the best thing you could ever do is go, add one of these. So let's say you've got 3 Ferns on board, add one of these and add 2 of the Flight Magic events. I think that's a perfectly good play to do. And then I run 1 copy of an Older Woman Frieren. She gains 3k if you play an event. And she also gives, when she attacks, she gives all of your characters pay 1 when you trigger a climax, draw 1, ditch 1. It's just very nice. It's just very nice for immediately paying out a climax. And she becomes a beat stick as well, which is also an added bonus. Okay, moving on to the level 2s. Level 2s, I'm glad level 2 game is coming back a little bit in Weiss. But most of my level 2s here are techs. So we've got the Sour Grapes event, which I think this might be my favourite card art in the entire series. And this is a beautiful hollow as well. I just want to show off for a moment. But this is a very handy event. It's a 2-0 event. that allows you to level down one of your opponent's characters, and it allows you to put this to stock as well. So it generates one stock and levels down a character. So if they have got an early play on board, or they have got some of their level 3s out, you can get rid of those level 3s quite nicely and generate a stock. I think it's just a nice event all around. Here's one of the techs that I like to run because this deck doesn't use that much stock. This is a level 2 4-cost event, which deals 3 damage to your opponent. This is very nice for dealing some damage, or at the very least ripping a climax off the top of your opponent's deck before you start to attack. I like that event a lot. If I could run 20 of those events, I would, because I think it's hilarious. Then you run the Promo Frieren, which she gives something soul on play, and then you can sack her to bounce something on your opponent's field. Again, very handy removal in certain situations. It's just very, very handy to run. This is a card, it's a level 3 killer, and it gives something else power on attack. It's an anti-level, sorry, not just a level 3 killer, but it's an anti-level. Quite a nice tech card to run. I am unsure though whether I'm going to keep this card and maybe run one of the level red 1 events again. Just because I have the level down event. I don't know whether I want to run this anymore. It comes in handy sometimes, but I think I could make the deck a little bit more streamlined by just running one of the red events again. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. And then moving on to the level 3s. I'll actually start from the back this time and then get to the finisher. So I'll run 1 copy of the 6 events in Waiting Room Early Play Frieren. She also is ditch a card to heal to stock, and it's just very, very nice to do. Then you run a copy of the Stock Shuffle. I might bump this to 2, because this card seems to like getting stuck in my clock or in my stock quite often, and Stock Shuffles are just very, very handy, especially if your opponent is compressed. But then moving on to the finisher, and I need to get out these cards if we're going to talk about the finisher. There we go. So if you've got the Himmel in memory, if you've got these on the field as well, you can sack these to bring the level 3 finisher out for free. And this is one of the big reasons why I like this. Oh dear. Like this deck so much. Firstly, because this trial deck finisher is absolutely beautiful card art. I think this is probably the best card art they've ever done in Weiss. I think this is fantastic. But this finisher comes out for free, so you don't really have to worry about stock at all in this deck. You can just kind of go crazy with it. One thing that I like this finisher over the set finisher is that it's more consistent. It's a ditch 2, burn 4, but then also on play, she digs 3 cards, so she can dig for her own climax. So if you don't have the climax in hand, don't worry about it, because more often than not, if you do cast your mind back to Danmachi players, they were able to burn through their deck at end of level 2 or beginning of level 3. They were able to put their deck in a pretty decent state and then be able to grab a climax through various different means. Now, I believe the Hestia dug in, I believe. No, she didn't. She healed to stock, didn't she? That was it. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that if one of the things that you want to do is you want to be able to set your deck up. If you don't have a climax in hand, set your deck up so you can dig through with this, because you're going to be digging 9 cards into your deck if you get triple combo out, and then 12 cards if you get a 4th combo out to the back row. But most of the combos you're going to get are free because you're going to be playing them through this and not hard playing them. And this card can put out a lot of damage. You burn 4, you attack, you burn 4, you attack, you burn 4, you attack. That's a nice chunk of damage to do. And especially if you combo that with the Stock Shuffle, it's a very, very, very nasty combo. And you can do a lot of damage to your opponent very, very quickly. The downside to this deck is it does lack the utility of the set combo. If you don't know what the set combo does, it's on play heal, and you can ditch 2 to burn 2, or you can just simply mill 12 from the top of your opponent's deck, or you can Mocha 2. That deck does cost a lot of stock though. There's a lot of stock problems with that deck that I've found while I've been playing it, while this trial deck combo is a lot more streamlined and a lot more simple, but is a little bit more restricted when it comes to the top end. And very much with this deck, it's you have to kill them in your level 3 turn or you just die. There's not really a second level 3 turn for you in this deck unless you get really lucky and cancel. You want to be able to get your opponent in the worst position and your deck in the best position with this deck, and then burn them to death. It's really helpful as well if you have the burn 3 event, and a really nasty combo to do is pay 4, burn 3, and then burn 4 attack, burn 4 attack, burn 4 attack. That's a lot of people aren't going to be able to cancel that much to get out of that much damage, and you're going to end up probably winning the game from that. However, if on the off chance your opponent does cancel everything and you do end up not being in a position where you've won, you're probably going to be in for a bad time. And this is why I keep emphasizing that you've probably got to get your deck state into a good state. You don't want a bunch of climaxes in your waiting room when you do this big attack. You want to be able to, like Damachi players do, or did, or Goblin Slayer players, burn through your deck and then be able to set your deck up with as many climaxes in as possible so you can hope that you survive. Although if you are me, you may refresh with 7 climaxes in like 20 cards and have all your climaxes at the bottom of decks, because that seems to happen to me a horrifying amount of times. I should write a book on it. But anyway, I could say a lot more about this Frieren set, and I do want to make some more videos on this because I find this set extremely fun. I think it's a set that has... I probably enjoyed this set almost as much as I enjoy Arifureta, and if you know me at all, you know that Arifureta is probably my favourite set in Weiss, because that set is really fun, and I really love that set to bits. But anyway, I'm rambling on now, and this video's already gone over my intended 15-minute mark. However, I hope you enjoyed that video, and God bless and have a good evening.